I've been doing a lot lately is looking into like Stoicism and what the
Mhm.
Stoics used to say. And one thing that I've had to try and really, really hard to incorporate into my own life is that when you're when you're trying to reach success, or when you're trying to reach or do different tasks or things, like you shouldn't think of this goes back to what you were saying, Morgan. You shouldn't really when you set a goal for yourself, isn't and it's super weird, right? Because I'm going to say it and it's going to sound weird, but when you set a goal for yourself, you're theoretically setting yourself up for failure, whether you achieve the goal or not. Because if you achieve the goal, then you're like, well, crap, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't achieve the goal, then you're like, well, crap, I could clearly do better.
All right, everyone recording.
Yes.
All right, you ready, Chandler?
Yeah, bro. Well, hold on. I think that one's pretty good.
All right.
Wait, can't see nothing on my life. Yeah, I'm recording.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. This is Caleb Boudreau, the editor-in-chief of AnExtraordinaryLife.online. Today we have Morgan
Hey everyone, this is Morgan, the lead lifestyle writer.
and Chandler.
The sexier, more attractive. What was the other word?
Brother.
Yeah, but there was another word last time. Either way,
Smarter and prettier.
smarter and prettier. Brother.
Smartier and prettier. Yeah, that sounds about right.
There we go.
And this is This Extraordinary Life, the podcast where we just basically talk crap about each other and talk about different things going on in the world.
Sounds
So,
about right.
yeah. So, let's see. Chandler, you were talking last time about how time doesn't feel like it's going very, feels like it's going faster as you get older. Go ahead and explain that while I eat this party pack of Oreos.
I think so. I did. It was interesting because like it was like one of those toilet talks. You know what I'm saying? Like you was on the toilet and you just start googling stuff. So I started reading different articles about it, and just because we talked about it last time briefly, but it's just so interesting to think. We were kind of talking a little bit before we started recording, but like summer break when we were in elementary school used to feel like forever. It used to feel like the extents of the year. But to be fair, like we never had that type of freedom between school before. So like every time you got summer break, it just felt shorter and shorter and shorter. And I was genuinely convinced that we were just getting shorter summer breaks.
I
Come to
remember
find
that
out.
conversation
Yeah.
with you whenever we were kids.
Yeah, because well, I mean, I used to come to Louisiana to visit, and I used to come and I used to be like, what the heck? Like now my summer vacation's over. It's done because I've just spent my entire vacation. But I'd only spend like a month in Louisiana. Yet I'd feel like it would all be gone. And now, like, I'm 23, and 3 months seems so short. Like I look at 3 months as that's 3 boxes full of invoices. That's 3%, like 3 months of percents that I've just done. Like the months come so quick. It just feels like every 3-4 days I'm sending the reports off again. It's just so wild.
Yeah, if you think about it, we're in the third month of 2023, and it feels like New Year's Eve was literally last week, I feel.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
it's so
completely
strange.
honest. I think the last time I saw Brandon was on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, because New Year's Eve was Saturday, New Year's Day was Sunday. So yeah, it would have been New Year's Day. He brought some cabbage over.
That's so wild. Like, and then so
Yeah.
imagine, right? We're all pretty young in comparison to average life expectancy, but like imagine, because I think what it does is, I don't know if the word's exponential, but every year it gets twice as short, like how we feel. So like our first year of life, our second year feels half as long, our third year feels half as long as that, our fourth year feels half as long as that, and it just goes and goes and goes. It's incredible. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I just wonder how how older people. But I'm so curious, right? I think we spoke last podcast about how the more you do, I said that time seems to go by faster with the more things you do. Would you guys agree or no?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if your schedule is booked, your day feels so fast. But if you've got nothing to do and you're bored,
It just
time
drags on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like older people, like if you're 80 years old, how much are you really doing?
You're probably just sitting down crocheting
Right?
and watching the Golden Girls. I mean,
So does that mean that time's gonna go slower? Like it's such a tricky question.
Yeah, I guess we should have gotten like an 80-year-old to be the guest on the
Yeah.
podcast.
That would be the way to go.
Yeah. I can call my grandma real quick.
Yeah, right. How long does a year feel to you? What?
They're like, what year are we even in?
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah. No, but I would say like if you look at it in like 10-year increments, so like from age 10 to 20, I mean there is just so much
Yeah.
that's happening. I mean, you're hitting puberty. You're like at 10 years old you're a child, you know, and then you hit puberty at like, I don't know, 13, 14 years old, and then you're in high school and you're going through your teenage years, and then you hit 20 years old and like, you know, most people are like in college or they're working.
Yeah.
You know,
I moved out at 18. So
I moved out at 18 as well.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
Yeah, and then like
Lot
if
of
you think of,
responsibility.
but 20 years
21.
old to 30 years old, I mean that's just flying by. Like I'm about to be 25 years old in 5 years. I mean, I feel like I was 20 like literally not that long ago. I'm like, wait, I'm 25, so that means I'm like halfway to 50. You know?
You're an old fart now, Morgan.
I know.
I hope you realize that.
I know.
Caleb, you know what you said last time? You said you were reading or watching something, and the beginning of it was life is measured in
Oh, life is measured in moments of impact.
moments of impact. So what's crazy about that is like a moment of impact is my first time riding a bike, my first time going to the movies, or like, so I think as you grow up, you have like less moments of impact. So what do you
Yeah,
think?
you have less. Yeah, you have
Less to
like
remember, less
impactful moments.
Yeah.
That are just like, oh my goodness, this is like my first. Like you think your first kiss, like oh, like it's
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of life, it's nothing,
So
right?
minuscule,
And then you
yeah.
have, and then you have, your first date, and then like, as you're actually like, okay, now you're in your 5th relationship,
You've
and
had
you're
so
like,
many dates and so many.
Yeah,
kisses
you're like,
and
it's
so
just
many,
meh.
Yeah. Yeah, so you
Well,
don't even think about it, right?
At
Well,
24, I have my first boyfriend now, so that's a moment of impact.
Fair.
That's a young / old age. I don't know.
But the reason I bring that up is it's just so interesting that like I think what it is there's like you've already had so many moments of impact because you've already experienced all these new things, and as you grow older, there's very few new things you do, and maybe that's why we have midlife crisis, right? We are
Yeah.
like we've gone what it normally happens around 50 probably, right? We've gone from
Yeah.
like 35 to 45 without any major impacts in life, and you feel like you're not doing shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're just
Like,
working.
so, precisely. Yeah. So and there's no you wake up, go to work, come home, go to sleep, wake up, work. You're like there's no moments of impact.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why people freak out when they turn 50 because they feel like and they go skydiving and they go to traveling like.
Yeah.
I mean, Caleb's having it right now, but.
I think that would be
Hey,
quarter
hey.
life crisis, right?
I mean, yeah, at the ripe old age of 27.
Are you really
maybe
going through a quarter life crisis right now?
Not really.
Look
no.
at your shelf.
I was gonna say, I think you're pretty chill,
look
you
at my
know?
look at my shelves. It very much looks like a midlife crisis. Like, video games are my whole personality, guys.
I feel like I go through a quarter life crisis like every couple of months. I'm like, oh my god, this is my quarter life crisis, and it's like, no, it's just a shitty day.
That's so crazy. What's even crazier to think about, right, is like all the struggles and trials and tribulations that we go through now are just laughing points for the future.
I mean, pretty much. Like, we think, like, as a teenager, we're like, oh my god, this is the worst thing to ever happen to me. Like, this is
Yeah.
gonna destroy my life, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, now, like, I'm 27, Chandler's 23, Morgan's 25. Like, we're all 2 years apart.
Yeah.
But like, we think about those things, and it's like, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, this is nothing.
Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with a woman from Mexico today. She's 50 years old, and I was bringing her to the airport, and we were just talking about life and her being a mother and all that crazy stuff, and how she's like, yeah, my kids are like old now, not old, but like my son's 21, my daughter's 16, and we were just talking about literally like how life, because I was like, yeah, whenever I was a teenager, because I work with teens, I have to put myself back into that perspective of like, okay, a teenager's brain is working differently than what my 25-year-old brain is thinking as an adult, because but I have to put myself back into those shoes as a 16-year-old of like, okay, what was I going through at 16? What was so like, it's so dramatic to think about, because like I have a journal from high school and I'll go back and read it even in college, and I'm like, oh my God, like I literally thought that my world was crumbling, and it's literally over nothing. Like it's just a very small bump on the radar in my life, literally.
Just because you couldn't go to that one party.
Literally.
Oh, I went to all the parties.
Oh, well.
That's so. It's just so. It's so weird how perspectives change. And what I was gonna say is like it's actually incredibly difficult. What you said is you have to take yourself and put yourself into a younger perspective. Like that's such a talent. Because like what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, even just talking about perspectives in general. Like, look, like you're working on a piece for like what it's like to live with someone with anxiety. Like, you have to almost completely change your perspective and put yourself in a person's shoes that you just don't understand what it's like to have it. So it's like, what do I do?
It's like but I'm terrible at it. Like it's so difficult for me to get things that I don't understand, which is wild, right? Because I like to
Empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's empathy is a difficult emotion for me, I suppose.
Yeah. The art of
just laugh.
The art of understanding someone else's emotions as if they were your own.
That's very difficult. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
But like for you working with kids, so I mean, I hire 16-year-olds, 17-year-old, 18-year-olds all the time, and for me, I'm just like, why are you not working? Like, why are you complaining about sweeping a floor? Why are you upset about doing side work? Like, bro, you could have it so much worse. But at the time, like when I step back and I'm like, wait, I was complaining about the same stuff.
Yeah.
I had the same. I did not want to go to work, but like now I get caught up and I'm like, man, stop, just work, just do what I'm asking you to do. But I can't really express that,
Yeah.
You know what else is crazy to think about? So like being like 16 years old and like your first job, right? And your paychecks are literally like a couple $100s, and it's like, oh, I'm making that big money. Like I'm going to the mall this weekend, and then now as an adult, it's like, I make like a couple $1,000s out of the month, and it's like, oh damn, but it's all gone, with bills.
Yeah, if I got a couple $100 check, I would have a mental freaking breakdown.
Yeah.
So, like, oh God.
But like that just goes to show you the perception,
Yeah, this goes along the line of growing up and age. I read somewhere that I think it might have been on Instagram or something, but it was like $100 bill is a grown person's dollar bill. Like
basically.
When you were a kid, $1 was a lot. You could get 4 gumballs. You could do. You saved up those dollars. Like a $10 bill was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
But now, like $100 we spend on a grocery trip once every 2 weeks easily.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's just so wild. Now, one thing that's like interesting to me, we're talking about, having those bigger paychecks. One thing that my bosses do, and I think I explained this to you, Caleb, is their idea is to take away my bills per se.
Yeah.
So when I explain my pay to people, I have to explain it in a sense of like, yes, this is what I'm getting on a check, but like I'm going to be spending money on a phone, on a car, on a house, right? And so the way I perceive my pay is with my pay and add those in, because it feels like I'm making this. So like if I were to
Yeah, because your pay structure is really fucking weird.
It's
Like
so
I have never
yeah,
seen.
it's so strange. Like, okay, I'm gonna give like random numbers. Okay, so let's say,
Well, don't even say like numbers, but just like
well,
kind of explain.
I'll do something simple. Like, let's
Okay.
say I'm supposed to make $20,000 a year. Okay, that's nothing. But let's say I'm not having. Say they do company housing, they do a company car, company phone. What else? What other bills do you have? Insurance. Say they have insurance. So these are all things that I'm not having to pay, but I'm only getting paid $20,000. But it really feels like I'm getting paid like $50,000
Because
that's
you
the
don't
amount
have
of money.
rent.
Yeah, that's
You
the
don't
amount
have
of
to
money
pay
that
for
I
a
can
car.
spend.
You don't have to pay
Precisely.
for a cell phone. You don't have to pay for health insurance.
Yeah.
Like all of that's included. So the money that you do get, you can spend on groceries
Exactly.
or fun stuff
so
or
I would be
video games or
spending-
you know.
Yeah, like I would be spending what a $50,000 person would be making, because they would be spending all that money anyway on the things that I had. So it's it's difficult to explain that to people.
Yeah, I
You
mean, it
know?
kind of sounds nice though, cause like,
Well,
like I'll get
it's super
paid.
intelligent.
I'll get paid, and my paycheck is because I only get paid once a month. I get paid on the last day
Damn.
of the month. I don't get paid every 2 weeks. I literally get paid once a month. So it's a huge check, right? And I'm like, oh my god, I'm making so much money, you know.
Yeah.
But then like I'll immediately go and pay every single bill that I have for that month, and then I'm just like, oh, this is what I'm actually left with, and
Yep.
I have to, it's crunch time.
Yeah, what's changed my perspective on money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now the idea is really like for me not to go and blow all that money. So really the idea is I'm not paying taxes on making more money, right? Because the more money you make, the more they take. So I'm not paying taxes on that. I'm not paying taxes on the things that I would buy, like a car or a phone, a house. I'm not paying taxes on those things. And it's smart for the business as well, because the business can, write it off as tax expenses, like their business products, their business properties.
Right.
So it's like smart all the way around, but it's changed my perspective on what I make, because I have to look at it like I need to save money. I need to keep this as if
Yeah.
I were paying these things. It's kind of had a good change.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like back when I was making, and there's a big difference too between switching. Have you guys served before?
Yeah, that's all I did throughout high
Yeah.
school and college.
So when I first started, I started hosting at 16.
Mm-hmm.
And what everyone warned you about when you first started serving at 18 was, like, don't let this go. Like, don't let go of your reality.
Yeah.
Because what I see, and I warn people now, like my hosts that come into serving, because when you start bringing home $100, $200 cash a day, you don't really care. You're
Right.
just, I'll make it tomorrow. Let's just drop $200 at, let's just go to Walmart and drop $200 on random shit.
Yeah, because I'm literally gonna make it the
tomorrow.
next day. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you look at how much servers make, they make fantastic money if they
Yeah.
were to just save it, put it away. Like, everyone hates the idea of servers getting checks, like the tips on a check, but it would help them financially so much better.
Oh yeah, like I tell every one of the new techs that come in, I will literally tell them, I'm like, all right, now you're getting this much of a pay bump. Don't think about it as you're getting this pay bump,
Yeah.
because the moment you think about it, you are gonna blow through that fucking check faster than, because you're like, oh well, I haven't had the money for this thing in years, so well, I could just buy this. Like for instance, I'm gonna just buy this Xbox. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You buy the Xbox. You're only able to save like $100 from that check. When the next check comes in, again a big check. You're like, ooh, so I don't need an Xbox anymore, but I can get the fancy dancy $200 Elite controller. Like, ooh, drop that 200. I'm only able to save 50 on this check. Like, so it's a very big change whenever you
Have you guys
jump financial classes, basically.
Have you guys gotten bonuses before, like substantial bonuses? So that was
no.
that was a big thing for me. Is this year was the first
They're
year.
taxed in Louisiana.
Oh, they're taxed bad here as well. But
Horrible.
that was a big thing here for me. Is like my first couple of bonuses, I kind of just blew. But this year is the first year that I've just kept it, and I finally have a very comfortable security net. But I've never done that before. So like when I got promoted, and I was getting the pay raise, my bosses specifically said, "Hey, we're doing this. Don't go get another car payment. Don't go get another car payment. Don't go do this. Don't do that. Just set aside your money and just let it stack." Now I was an idiot and I got a bike payment, which you shouldn't have done because it's the same thing. But they said not a car payment, so
You took it
I mean,
literally.
technically,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not transportation payment.
yeah, they should have said. They should have. I blame them for all my problems, I guess. Right? They should have said.
I mean,
that.
they only gave you a free car and told
Yeah.
you not to go spend extra money on another one. So
Literally,
you know,
literally.
how dare they?
It's so wrong of them. I can't imagine. We were speaking about perspective and going back to that. I cannot imagine how they like. They drop so much wisdom for me. Like I attribute them so much to my success, but I can only imagine how difficult it is for them to like step back and put themselves into my perspective. Like,
Well, because they've lived through it before.
well, that's what's. So I think Carissa and I were talking about it. I think it was. It might have been. I went on a 6-mile run with my boy Dylan the other day, and we were just chatting the whole way. But we were talking about how he has a best friend that's doing really well, and he uses him as inspiration. He uses him to guide himself through the problems of life, right? Because he's a step ahead. He thinks his friend's a step ahead of him.
Mhm.
Okay, but like I brought it back to like my person that I use for my inspiration is my bosses, but they're like tremendously older than me, like a little bit over than 10 years older than me. So it's got to be so much more difficult. They have experienced the problems that I'm going through. They've experienced the solution I'm going through, and then they've experienced the aftermath of the solution. So they've got such a great perspective on so many different things, whereas in like his best friend has only experienced the problem and the solution. So they can only go so far, you know?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But then again, what I told him is I was like, I don't really feel like I'm competing with my bosses, like with my mentors. Whereas in that competition can help you grow. So we got to talking a lot about like how competition can help you and how having the leaders like that I have can also help you. So it's just interesting. Maybe it'd
Yeah.
be good to have a little bit of both.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also I would say I think success looks different in everybody's eyes too, because like for me personally, success is having an amazing career, building that up, getting promoted, which I just had a promotion last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I mean, I literally can't go any higher up. Like I'm a director, you know. So
Yeah, top of it,
and
top
then
of
but
the
then I have two best friends who like, you know, their success is being like a stay-at-home mom. You know what I'm saying? Which is something for me personally that I don't want to do. But that's, you know, success just looks different in, you know, everyone's life, I would say.
So yeah, let's kind of explore that a bit. Like so we know what Morgan's definition of life success is. What is yours, Chandler?
Well, okay, two things before. One thing I really want to do, and I've thought about this for a while. I've even spoke to Chris about it. I want to do something like with potentially a lifestyle style podcast, but I want to go to different people and ask that very question. So we can I want to definitely explore it between us, but like I want to see what really successful people think success is, and if they think they're successful, right? Because to me, and what you said is it's so much different. Like people can have different ideas of success.
Yeah.
So like, to me, I think I'm successful for my age, but I don't think I'm successful, right? So my idea of success would be, I'm weird. I guess I have different levels of success. So like different ladders that I want to climb at different times. So like right now, I think I'm successful in the sense of I've got a nice house, I've got a nice car, I live a decent life in the sense of I buy kind of whatever I want, I've got a great girlfriend, I've got great, you know, dogs that I can take on walks and different things like that. But I don't
Now, are
think,
you just saying that because she's laying right next to you?
No.
No, I think he's being very truthful.
I swear. But I also think that maybe in 10 years, my idea of success will be a family home, a family car, a nice family with some children. You know what I'm saying? Like some property that I can put different things on. That would be my idea of success then. Like if in 10 years I have 2 kids and I'm in the same situation I'm in now, I don't think I would feel as successful. You know?
I mean, I get that. Yeah.
So it's so interesting to think like how your vision of success will change. And as an 80-year-old, if I'm in the same position I'm in now, I 100% don't think I'll be successful, right? But I think I'm successful now.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
So for
I mean,
an example,
definitely for your age.
For an example, it's like, okay, for me, I've always wanted to go to college. That was always my dream. And so I finally, I got to college. I worked my butt off in college, and then I graduated, and I was like, okay. I was like, I just got a cutting board, basically, like a $50,000 cutting board piece of paper. What's next? You know what I'm saying? So for me, success was always like getting the title and the money and all that stuff. But as I've literally have been promoted to the highest position that I can be in my job with the highest salary that I can get, I'm like, okay, I am successful. But it's like I had to realize that success is immeasurable. You know what I'm saying? We're a constant work in progress, and it shouldn't just be about the money or the title or that kind of stuff, because I still have other big goals. I would love to publish a book one day, so that's one, but regardless if I publish it or not, I'm still successful because I've accomplished the small goals that I wanted to get to the bigger thing, if that makes sense.
Fair. Fair.
Yeah. So I want to kind of like move into the next topic here.
Wait. You didn't answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's trying to move on.
Fair,
What is your idea of success?
So
And
my
do you think
idea.
you're successful?
So that's kind of a difficult question. My idea of success was like as a kid to have what I have now. Like I don't know if you remember this, but our goal was to all live in the same house, me, you, and Brandon. We had an entire room dedicated to collecting video games, have every game for every platform, have every platform, and a TV for each console that we could just like walk in, sit in a chair in front of this however large TV, and pop the game in for that console, and it'd be on the screen, and then we'd be good. Now I don't have exactly that. Like I have a decent collection,
Yeah.
but it's not exactly like. But I have collector's editions, which I've always wanted. I'm able to afford all of these things that I've wanted since I was a kid. So like, in a way, yes, I'm successful, but like last year, I purchased a home. So now, technically speaking, I'm like a crap ton of money in debt.
Yeah.
Like, even though technically, yes, I'm getting something grand out of it. I'm able to change things in my house. I'm able to say at the end of the day that I own my home, which is something not everyone can say. But, I mean, with the amount of hours that I work, I mean, it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
Like, my old lead technician gave me the kind of best anecdote to kind of cope with how much that I work. Because, like, I work 60, 70-hour weeks. And he basically said, look, there are 2 types, or he said his dad used to tell him, look, there are 2 types of jobs in this world. There are the jobs that you like, and there are the jobs that give you the luxury of being able to afford the things you like. And the job that I have is definitely the latter.
Yeah.
Even if it's, I don't have enough time to play video games. Like, me and Corey are both playing Hogwarts Legacy right now.
Yeah.
She's constantly being like, nah, 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 I'm higher levels than you. And I'm like, Corey, look at how many hours you're working versus me, and then come back and have that conversation.
Fair.
Like, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy she's liking the game, but it's like,
Come on, bro. You can't nah me. No.
yeah, like,
And
um,
I was
but
gonna
yeah,
s-
so like, I definitely feel like I'm successful, but like my definition has changed, right? So
it's
like
moved,
now
yeah.
I want to have, like, I want this media company to work. I want all of this to happen. So like until that does, I no longer feel successful. I feel like I'm working towards that success. Like, I'm successful in one industry,
On
and
to the
I want
next.
to leave that one behind and find success in another one eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attainable goals.
So,
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to say, I know you wanted to move on, but last thing is one thing I've been doing a lot lately is looking into like stoicism and what the
Mhm.
Stoics used to say. And one thing that I've had to try and really hard to incorporate into my own life is that when you're trying to reach success, or when you're trying to reach or do different tasks or things, like, you shouldn't think of, this goes back to what you were saying, Morgan. You shouldn't really, when you set a goal for yourself, and it's super weird, right? Because I'm going to say it and it's going to sound weird, but when you set a goal for yourself, you're theoretically setting yourself up for failure, whether you achieve the goal or not. Because if you achieve the goal, then you're like, well, crap, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't achieve the goal, then you're like, well, crap, I could clearly do better. Whereas,
Yeah.
and if you simply, like, this, what the Stoics would do is, if you simply, like, I've been going to the gym really consistently lately for the past probably 3-4 months, probably 3 months, very much. But like
Yeah, there
Monday
was
through
kind of a life event that kind of stretched you towards that, though.
fair, but like Monday through Friday, we go after we get off from work, and we work we work server hours, so we go anywhere between 11 and 12 p.m. and we come home anywhere between 2 and 3 a.m. So we're there for like 2 or 3 hours. And one thing I've really had to learn is that it's not about, oh, I want my arms to look like this. I want to have a six pack. I want to do this and this and this. Like, I hated the gym when I wanted those things. I hated the gym when I was seeking the destination. But now I enjoy the gym because I'm just going and enjoying the process. I enjoy
Yeah.
lifting the weight.
Enjoying the journey.
Precisely, and that's
Yeah.
what, like, it's so difficult, because anytime I'm struggling, I'll sit back and I'll be like, yeah,
Yeah,
the
and
journey.
see, I love doing what I do. Like, in the past, I want to say month and a half, um, I have actually written five, like, started and finished five separate things. So like,
And it's what you were saying. It's you're talking about for the media company, right?
correct,
Yeah.
for AnExtraordinaryLife.online, I've written
Plug in.
one. Yeah, right. Shameless plug. Uh, Go ahead and follow us there. By the way,
Yeah.
this is all what this is for. Um, we, I've written one entire, like, mainline profile. One.
And when you say
For a
profile,
new, so gaming profile. So like, we do a deep dive, or a semi deep dive on development, gameplay, like, think review, but we're not necessarily reviewing it. We're kind of giving like a, here's our thoughts on it. Here's kind of some of the things that inspired it. Here's some of the stories behind development and the technology behind the game.
so you're creating
To
a
kind of give you a perspective of the game. That way, hopefully, you can learn to enjoy it at a different level. So, like, for instance, the game Severed Steel. It's a first-person shooter where, like, the whole level's destructible. Like, you can shoot people through walls. You can do like slow motion dives off of a balcony, do a front flip and shoot someone in the head. Like, it is crazy. But to think that one person developed all of that.
Oh, it's even crazy. You appreciate it more, yeah.
Exactly. So that's where we kind of like deviate from normal things. Like, we will go out and um, attempt to interview the developer, things like that, to tell their story as well as the story behind the game and what we think it does well versus lacks, things like that. So there is some semblance of review there. And then we just launched a new one called Mini Profiles, where it's basically, hey, if you like this game, like if there's a lot of cheaters on Escape from Tarkov right now. Like, there are YouTubers that have done many different deep dives into cheating. But if you love this game, you love the gameplay, here are 5 other games like that and why they're like that. Some, like, not a full 3,000 page or 3,000 word deep dive, but like a
Just a quick for you, not quick, but like
just like like a 500 tops of each game, so there's that. We also did 2 what's in a job title. I also did 2 what's in a job title and started on a third. We
That's like how it's made, but kind of.
So what's in a job title is essentially like, we'll take, like, the one that came out today was, not today, last Monday, because we're recording this on Sunday, or on Monday. Jeez. The one that came out the day of recording, how about that, is from Holly S. McKay. She is a journalist that told the stories of civilians caught in the crisis, like the ISIS crisis. That kind of rhymes. But basically, I don't think we should, but but basically, she lived in Iraq and Afghanistan and like Syria, and interviewed the people who were caught in the crossfire, people who've lost everything, things like that. And we basically told her story. The one that comes out tomorrow, the day after this episode goes live, is about Colleen Sheehan. She is one of the heads at FerrarisOnline.com, and they're like an exotic. They sell high-end sports cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, like F1 cars, Indy cars. Like, they basically sell collectible cars.
Yeah.
But she also repairs them and things like that. So it's about what it's like in that industry. We also have one about a photographer, which was the guest on the podcast in the second episode.
What episode is
this is episode 9.
Wow.
Already,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So hers is coming out this month as well. And then we also have one surrounding a couple that are OnlyFans creators.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, like that's their thing. It's all about like they're comfortable in their own skin. I love how you look at Carissa.
Wow,
Like,
she's asleep. She can't hear. But.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's about like them being comfortable in their own skin, and they're like, well, we do this constantly anyway. You want to try and make money from it, and then they just ended up enjoying it, and
Making that bank.
yeah, like they make like I think they said 2,000 or close to like 1,500 to 2,000 a month, and they just spend it on vacations.
2,000 a month being a couple doing OnlyFans. Wow, that's incredible. 2,000 a month and going on vacation all the time. They could even do that on vacation. Wow.
Yes, happy International Women's Month.
Yeah.
This month?
It
Yeah.
is this month. That's why we're featuring
Oh,
all
we should.
these female profiles.
I
I
mean,
was like,
you look like a very beautiful female, a
hey,
very beautiful woman,
I
Chandler.
think it's my eye structure. I think it comes from that.
But
Hey, I wanted to ask, have you seen any, like what, this, I think this would be cool to see as this continues. She's like moving around over there. Have you seen any gains to the website? Have you seen any increase in like, and how much have you seen?
so we actually have seen consistent like people going to the website.
Yeah.
Um,
What about for like the Spotify, like what we're doing now, like because it's gonna be so cool. What like in a year if we keep doing these consistently to
yeah,
see
so
the
we've
difference, right?
actually like we're getting consistent listens. So hey
That's
everyone
awesome.
that is
Yeah.
actually, coming back week in and week out to listen. So we have been doing that, and it's funny that you asked that because it kind of does relate to the topic that I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Because so Chandler, you are going to be writing for us, or at least trying to. Morgan, you do write for us.
No, I do play. For the record, I'm already kind of like halfway in.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
as of right now, technically you haven't yet.
Fair.
So
Fair.
yeah. So with you guys having extensive knowledge of what we do here, Chandler, I'm sure you looked at the website. Probably not as much as a supportive younger brother should, but
You say that, but I've been all my free time at work I've been reading the articles that you've put, Morgan, and me and Chris have been taking a deep dive. I haven't seen much of the gaming stuff that you guys have put up, but I've been definitely navigating through it.
yeah. So, what do you guys consider us to be? So, I personally consider AnExtraordinaryLife.online as an online publication. We do some journalism, we do lifestyle, we do gaming. Obviously, we can't do it as much as we want or as often as we want because all of us have day jobs, and the website is built in such a way that we don't want to include intrusive ads. So we don't want the page constantly filled with ads. So we're finding other ways to kind of make supportive content that can be monetized. That way we can, improve it over time.
I think
But
we're.
what do you guys consider us? Are we a publication or are we a blog?
We are not a blog. No.
I think it's more of like if we're gonna say publication, it's gonna be like a publication hub. It's where you can go and see different things. You can go to a podcast about lifestyle, or you can do something I even saw you guys have on for health. So like the room for expansion should be great.
And we
right?
just started poetry as well too.
It's gonna be such a great hub. I think that would be the best.
Best term for it.
Yeah, because you can. I think it's a really cool thing that like. Once you're on the web page, I think it's super easy to navigate through. And with that being said, like once you're in, you're in a rabbit hole. So the key is, and it's doing it really well, at least for me and for the people I've shown at work. It definitely inspires clicks. So once you're looking at lifestyle, you want to click into the gaming side and see what's going on, because everything so far has been really quality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think hub would be my answer.
Because see, like a blog, the definition, as per the Oxford Dictionary, is a regularly updated website or web page, typically run by an individual or a small group, that is written in an informal or conversational style. So technically speaking, we do fit in that, in that branch.
I would
because
say in the
most
beginning,
of us,
in the beginning, it would fit the blog style because it was more personal style articles, I would say, and now we're getting into more like factual profiles, if that makes sense.
yeah. And then publication is the preparation and issuing of a book, journal, piece of music, or other work for public sale. So while it's not, while the articles and profiles are not for sale, they're there for free, and we're hoping to basically subsidize the correct word. We're basically trying to use things like video essays, and audio podcasts and video podcasts to kind of subsidize
Yeah,
the
I think
cost
so.
of the free website, to make sure, like, we will still possibly open up for you know monetary content in the future, like, hey, so and so paid us to take a look at this is our open and wide thoughts over it. But just because they paid us to do a sponsor spot doesn't mean that we'll give them positive coverage if it does not deserve that. And we actually introduced an entire page on the website under the About Us section that breaks down every single one of the partnerships that we've taken, every single free game that we've gotten, that we've both covered and have not covered, everything like that. That's just, hey, we're an open book. These are things that companies sent us, and here's a link directly to it, just to show you, hey, we're not trying to hide our affiliation with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Have you ever thought about the title? Right, is such a great title, An Extraordinary Life. Have you ever thought about adding a spot for like a gallery or anything like that? That would be fantastic to put. I mean, you're a photographer, so.
Well, funny that you mentioned that. There's actually, I'm not gonna say where it is, but it does exist. And it has since the very beginning.
That's
I
news to me.
No way.
And it's crazy because, Morgan, you have the literal, like,
No, it's hidden.
you have the
dude.
backdoor keys to the kingdom. No, you can actually see it in your area.
Oh, so I
so
won't be able to see it.
No, you wouldn't be able to see it. So it actually, it is also on An Extraordinary Life, but you have to know the exact URL to how to get it.
Oh.
And then, like, all of my clients from my photography days can go and find their entire library
Okay.
of every photo that I've taken for them, just in the back room. So, Morgan, if you log into the back end,
Oh yeah, no,
you'll
I can see
actually
it on
see
the
at
back
the very
end.
back.
No, yeah, I can see the back end. I'm saying on the
But they
actual
all
like
have
published
unique-
website.
yeah. Well, it is technically there. You just have to know the unique URL and then put in a
Oh.
password.
I know what you're talking
for
about.
them
There's no
to-
link. There's no link in the URL.
It's not
but
public
yeah.
facing. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but
It used to be. It used to be public facing. At the very bottom, there was a link that said galleries, and you would click on it, and you would have to know the initial password, and then
Oh.
the
Yeah,
unique
I remember-
password for your.
I remember when you had that website to look up your photography that way, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it used to be.
yeah.
See, I cannot make a short title to save my fucking life. And it was Caleb Boudreaux or Caleb J. Boudreaux Photography.com.
Yeah.
Like, why?
So-
that is extremely long.
It would be super cool to have, like, right underneath poetry, to have, like, gallery or whatever, and it's just photography of life. Like, it could be a busy corner street, it could be someone riding a bicycle. That'd be super
That's
cool.
a great
to be able
idea.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have
You
talked
could even
about
do a
different plans
Short,
of, like,
short description.
yeah, we've talked about plans on doing, like, travel stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, if we ever did, like, Knoxville, let's just say somewhere that
For the record,
it's a
chat's going up.
tourist, huh?
Chat's going up.
Oh yeah.
One of the most moved to cities, 2022.
Yeah.
2020.
Well, like, I'm just
Yeah,
not
sure.
to dox anyone, so I'm just
course.
gonna make a definite
Genius.
Knoxville, Tennessee. So let's just say Knoxville. We go. It's like a company vacation. Like, we go, we take pictures, we do the research, we tell the history of the city, we show why it's historically significant, things like that. So it's essentially like a profile of the city,
Fair.
places to meet or places to see whenever you're there, things like
Restaurants
that.
to eat at,
Yeah.
all that good
That would
stuff.
be
Yeah.
super cool. That would be super
So
Let's plan a
it
trip,
would
guys.
be
Yeah.
right. So it would definitely be in the same realm of what we already do, but it would be our taking pictures rather than stock photos. So that would be one way that we can do that.
And it would be
Whoa,
our
whoa, whoa.
experience too.
Yeah, well, for the
Exactly.
record, I wasn't speaking about stock photos. I was talking about like.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
in gaming, what we do is we use actual screenshots that we've taken or press images
Yeah.
for the profiles. But in lifestyle, oh, we also did in the cooking section for the recipes. We also did actual. We took these pictures, mostly for some of the newer ones. It wasn't, but the lifestyle and health.
That smothered chicken and light gravy. I know that was from your phone.
Hey,
I know that was right from your phone, bro.
it was right from my phone because you needed to know how to make it because you
Fair.
kept fucking pestering me.
Hey.
Anyway,
Shit, that's
but
good, though.
like so life with cyclothymia, the article that I did, it's a mixture of my photos from the hiking trip that we took in Chattanooga, and stock photos, and then an unbreakable spirit, the story of Morgan, not this Morgan, but Morgan Reese, who is a breast cancer survivor. Those were all professionally taken by a photographer. So like
It's a good mix.
there are
I think-
definitely plans for it, but
I
you
think
know.
it would be the reason I brought it up is it'd be really cool. We could use that. I mean, depending on what kind of audience we're attracting, that would be a really good way for us to add to that subsidization, right? We could say, hey, do you want to feature a photo on our website? It has to be something good, something lifestyle, or anything, but you would have to pay us a little bit of a fee, right? But this is the audience you would draw. This is how many people would see your photo.
Well, so we do have an option to take donations that would be separate from like most creators go to Patreon,
Yeah.
things like that. But we can actually have our own donor like profiles here, where using the company that we use to host the website, we can actually get donations from readers and things like that once we open it. The problem is a cost to value perspective. So it's like if you're paying us, say $5 a month, something, hey, here you go. I like
Yeah.
what you do. Might as well, feel like I pay for it. Well, you would be paying for it, but you know what I mean. So the problem with it is I don't feel right taking money without giving at least something in return. So it goes into like, what would this give you in return?
Yeah.
Would it give you early access to articles? If so, how would that happen? And if so, that would, increase our workload. We've thought about doing audio versions of the articles for donations,
That would be cool.
things like that. But it's just how do we go about doing
Yeah,
that?
fair.
So like it's definitely something we've explored, but that kind of took a wild tangent.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So the reason for the question on what do you guys think we are, a publication or a blog, is because Florida, in their infinite wisdom, has decided that any blogger who writes about Florida government officials who get paid for it will need to register with the state within 5 days of publication, or face a $25 fine for every day that the registration is late. And it does not apply to press or newspapers.
Huh.
So, yeah.
So independent publications, right?
Basically, anything that they can say, oh, this is a blog, and I mean, at that point, a government with infinite money, you can't really fight that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with you guys seeing us as not a blog, but more of a publication or a publication hub. What do you guys, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Because I can definitely tell you, it ain't gonna go well.
I'm just
Stay away from government, from writing about government officials.
I'm
Fair.
just super. So this is where it's a little tough, right? Because initially I would think. I have to think of it from living in a Florida perspective. Because at the moment, out of sight, out of mind, I don't care what they do in Florida. Florida is one of those states that's like they do things like that and no one else adopts them. It's just that's so outlandish that you have
Yeah.
to almost
true.
get government clearance to speak. Like it's kind of an amendment. Like it's one of our rights to be able to speak how we want.
So-
to the
Freedom
government.
of speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but technically speaking, it is not infringing on your freedom of speech.
Because you
and
can
it is
still
not
do it.
infringe. You can still do it. You just have to pay for it now.
See, now I think that is an infringement because if we have no money, we should still be able to talk our talk about the government. Yet they're not allowing us to if we don't have money.
Correct.
If it goes through.
It's the same argument with guns.
Say it again. What do you mean?
The same argument with guns in America, where it's like if
Ah,
you
yeah.
have
But it's not been passed.
Um,
See, that's what I'm saying. It's
yeah,
not passed,
but
right?
No, so as of now, according to WFLA, which is a NBC affiliate in Florida, it states that Florida Senator Jason Broder wants bloggers who write about Governor Ron DeSantis, Attorney General Ashley Moody, and other members of the Florida Executive Cabinet or Legislature to register with the state or face fines. They would require any blogger writing about government officials to register with the Florida Office of Legislative Services or the Commission on Ethics. In the bill, Broder wrote that those who write an article, a story, or a series of stories about the governor, the lieutenant governor, a cabinet officer, or any member of the legislature, and receives or will receive payment for doing so, must register with the state's offices within 5 days after the publication of an article that mentions an elected state official. So it doesn't even have to be about them. If you mention, say, Ron DeSantis, you have to do it.
That will be so wild if that passes.
Yeah. I agree.
I will be.
'Cause how do
I
you
will-
separate a blog from
Well,
a
Not only
like a
that
press?
is where is your where you can't be anonymous anymore.
Yeah.
It completely destroys the act of being anonymous.
That's true.
What?
And see, if another blog post is added to a blog, the blogger would then be required to submit monthly reports on the 10th of each month with the appropriate state office. They would not have to submit a report on months when no content is published. So anytime you publish something new, you have to redo it.
There's no way. That I'm in
Um,
such disbelief that I'm like confident there's no way that'll pass.
This is Florida. This is
I
also
know.
the same. This is also the same state that. Let me look into it. But if I'm not mistaken, with their whole book banning thing, like,
What are you talking about? In schools?
oh yeah, like,
You talking about in schools?
yeah,
Yeah. That's Florida.
So,
Florida did that? I think they have do it like to me. The public schools technically like the government pays for them, like, and we have. Well, let's slippery.
So, according in July 2022, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed Florida House Bill 1467 into law, and it requires all school books to be reviewed by a district employee holding an educational media specialist certificate to ensure the book's grade level appropriate and free of pornography.
And that's for all public schools, right?
Yes. But it's leaving entire bookshelves empty.
Yeah.
But it's like much more than that. Like
That's so bad. That is so bad.
Wasn't it Tennessee though that did
I think we did something strange as well. Yeah.
yeah.
But that's so. I like if you don't see the bad, like that means that
Here we go.
the government now has the ability to tunnel your way, like all of the poor generation, to tunnel it however they want.
It's like
right
the book
now.
Yeah.
1984.
Yeah, but it's so
This is-
fun fact about 1984. What a lot of people don't realize is that the the author, while he was doing that, he wasn't that great of a guy to begin with. Anyway, I'm just saying.
I don't know much about George Orwell, so.
Don't get me wrong. It's a great interpretation of, or not interpretation, but it is a great show of what authoritarian governments will be and can be.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole it's almost become a meme, right? Where it's like, oh, this is definitely 1984 becoming reality.
Mm.
But
That's so strange to me that.
but yeah, so according to the New York Times, there's a school board in Tennessee that bans teaching of the Holocaust's novel Maus, Maus. It is by Art Spiegelman. It is a graphic novel about his father's stories from Auschwitz. His dad was a Holocaust survivor, and the whole thing is the story of his dad, his family, and everything during the Holocaust. And
they've banned it.
they voted unanimously this month, January of 2022, to ban the book from being taught in its classrooms because the book contains material that board members said was inappropriate for students. So it portrays Jewish people as mice and Nazis as cats in recounting the author's parents' experience during the Holocaust. And it contained inappropriate curse words and depiction of a naked character. It's once again, guys, it's mice and cats.
Yeah.
But like,
See, this is where it's hard for me to like be okay with it because theoretically, I think that sure, ban something that has nudity, ban something, but like that gives you so much leeway to
just expand it.
choose whatever you want to ban. Like if we've given them the privilege to ban this, who's to say they're not going to ban all of the Mickey Mouse that we've seen? Because if you look at it, a lot of the earlier ones depict like World War I, World War II events, right? And as kids we didn't know that, but I just don't.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that you're going to ban artwork. That's another freedom of expression, freedom of speech. That's so wild.
so I don't even know how to pronounce this. Roald Dahl, might not know the name of the author, but he is the author for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. All of his books got censorshiped or censored. So
For what?
like, so let's see. The character Augustus Gloop from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is now described as enormous instead of enormously fat. In
Okay.
the Twits, from as he was in the original 1964 version, in the Twits, Mr. Twit is simply beastly instead of ugly and beastly, like Dahl wrote in 1980.
I mean, if he's ugly, he's ugly.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Keep it.
basically they're going in and changing the language.
It's so strange, man. That's so
like,
strange.
I don't
This is such a-
understand.
I feel like this
such
is a rabbit hole. Like,
Yeah,
like
we're
we
we're-
could get kind of deep in it, but
Well, what sucks is like, yeah, it's a rabbit hole, but we're right on the cusp of cancel culture, right? That's what the conversation is,
yeah.
which sucks.
Because
Because
like, if you can't
Yeah.
say certain words, like
yeah.
the banning of a word creates fear of said word, which creates division. So, but yeah, we're in this extraordinary life, not this depressing life.
Yeah,
so
right.
we'll get off that topic, but But yeah, is there anything that you guys want to mention before we kind of wrap up here?
I have a question for you, Caleb.
I didn't do it. God.
Are you eating a family pack of Oreos?
No, I am not.
He's eating a family pack of something, though. Let's be honest.
I'm eating
Yeah.
a party pack.
Oh,
of Oreos,
party
which
pack.
is bigger. Which is bigger. Just wanted to
Are you
sneak that
full?
in there. Not quite, but I've only eaten one, so.
Okay.
You know, there leaves much to be desired there.
Yes.
But Chandler, do you know the inside joke of that?
No.
So we were
Episode,
talking about.
I don't know which episode
3.
it is. 3, I think.
It was
yeah.
it was 3.
3 or 4.
We were talking about disastrous dates, and I was talking about the time that a one-night stand went wrong, and
You gotta listen to it.
we went to Walmart, and I was basically like a complete dickhead to her, trying to get her because like I couldn't get her to leave, and so she came with me to Walmart, and I was like. We walked in the bakery side, and she's like, "Ooh, I love donuts," and I'm like, "Trust me, I can tell." And she still didn't get the hint, and then later on, she's like, "Ooh, I love Oreos. I usually get the family pack, but it's almost not enough." I'm like, "What do you mean not enough?" And she's like, "Well, they just don't really get me full, you know?" And I'm like, "What?"
So you're sitting in front of the TV and destroying a family pack and saying you're not full. That is incredible, Caleb. You sure know how to pick them.
Like I
Ma'am,
said,
if
it
you're
was-
listening to this, you should
Yeah.
get the party pack.
Yeah. No, ma'am. Do not get Oreos no more. Listen here. You don't.
Cancel
need
culture
Some,
Oreo.
get some
Okay,
berries.
let's-
You need some berries.
But yeah, it's a great. Go watch that. Go watch that
Might have to.
episode.
Might have to.
But well, I say watch it, but listen to it.
Yeah.
But this has been an episode of This Extraordinary Life, the very first video episode of This Extraordinary Life, not gaming version.
She said, I yawned like 40 minutes ago, and I'm
Wait,
really upset.
I told you this was being recorded.
She said, I'm super
No.
upset that you just told me
I
that. 'cause-
did.
I would not
Yeah.
look like this if I knew. No.
Hey, this is an extraordinary life, okay?
Yes, you are extraordinary, Morgan.
I already know that. Oh man. Okay.
So make sure to get yourself all dolled up next time.
I sure will.
So, but yes, this is the first video version of This Extraordinary Life, non-gaming version. And with me, I have Chandler.
Yeah, I don't.
He doesn't have an outro.
Yeah, I don't really have a. Yeah.
The self-proclaimed prettier, smartier, as he said it in the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
version of me. And Morgan.
That's me, the lead lifestyle writer.
And this has been, yeah. So this has been great, guys. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to stay up to date. And
Stay tuned
You-
for the articles that I should be publishing soon regarding
Yeah.
the living. So I'm going to say it here to give it a little bit more room, but I'm going to be making, from my perspective, living with someone with anxiety, and my girlfriend who has anxiety living with someone without anxiety, because I don't really understand it. So it'll be kind of like a Romeo and Juliet article that you'll be able to read from both perspectives. It'll be super cool. Definitely.
it sounds super interesting. But if you guys ever need anyone to talk to, we have a link to the gaming Discord in the gaming homepage. Go ahead and drop in, and all of us are there. So just, have a chat. Well, awesome. You guys have been great, as always, and have a good one.
All right. GG. Good game. Oh, should I stop? Stop recording. Okay, stop recording. Got it.
Dude, I didn't know this was being recorded.
Oh, she's so mad.
No.
I literally said that before we
Man.
started recording.
No.